where does Epic Universe go from here? So we're now 3 days into the grand opening since May 22nd, 2025. And it's fair to say that the park has been a success under the current situation. We're truly no more than 4, 5, 6,000 people in the parks. It's been short lines for most of the attractions, except for the Battle at the Ministry. And the great news there is that after the first day, where it did not open till closer to 3 p.m. And lines were as long as 5+ hours at one point that day, it's been mostly about an hour for that ride, and everything else has been substantially shorter wait times. Even some of the rides like Donkey Kong Minecart ride, which has been was one of the longest waits during the previews before, has now been pretty consistently 30, 40 minutes, if not less, wait times, which is a great thing because that's a very low capacity ride with 4 people boarding at a time. But right now, everybody's happy. And the thing is that right now, the park is going through its Discovery Cove phase of its life. So, Discovery Cove is a park owned by SeaWorld parent United Parks. It's about 4 miles away from Epic Universe, very close, almost as close as the other Universal Orlando parks is to Epic Universe, except it's a premium experience, and people pay well above $200, sometimes $300 for a day at a park, at a water park that only allows no more than 1,300 people a day. You can actually pay a premium on top of the regular ticket to have a swim with the dolphins. It's all inclusive in the fact that it covers breakfast and lunch, and it's just a great experience. If you've ever been out there, if you ever want sort of like almost like a getaway escape, if you want a staycation and don't mind paying up for it, Discovery Cove is a great choice for that because it is capped at a very low number. And that is what Universal is doing now with Epic Universe. It has, after some very mixed reviews, including some very loud negative reviews during the technical rehearsals, everybody loved the rides when they were running. Everybody loved the just the theming, the rich beauty of the park. Everybody loved all the team members there. Customer service is great at the park. From someone that I was there for 3 of the previews in late April. I'm expected to. I already have tickets for a couple of summer outings. Broken them up just so I can see how the park progresses. But right now, it's at that phase. It's that honeymoon phase where the park is doing it right. They're keeping crowds in check. Of course, there are two things wrong with that. One is that this is a very large park. This is a Discovery Cove. There's a lot more people required here. And while, it's 4,000, 5,000 people paying $189 is the one-day ticket today, is a lot less than they're paying and a lot more guests than you find at Discovery Cove. It does take a lot of overhead to run the park. And more importantly, again, this is a park that sells Universal Express passes for more than the average of a day ticket. So you actually have to pay twice as much if you want to have a one-day ticket and Universal Express added to it, so you can get an all but 3 rides one time without having to wait in the longer standby line. In this case, people are realizing they're getting there and like, hey, I spent all this money and I'm not using it. And at least from the various reports on social media, a lot of people have been able to refund them or push them out to later in the year. So with that happening, Universal is at a quandary here. They have a case where people love this park, but now they're losing money on one side of the business. And obviously, they'd like to put more people in there. But this gets to where we're going to the next phase. So obviously, as the summer comes out, they're going to add more capacity as the rides get more reliable. Even the Battle at the Ministry of Magic ride, where it was a ride that was very buggy, had a virtual queue that was very unpopular. It was one of my at the top of my list of the 7 things that Epic Universe needs to fix before May 22nd that I posted a couple weeks ago. And thankfully, that virtual queue is gone. So that's one less thing that they have to fix. But the case is that the ride, they had to sort of, tone it down. There was like a drop element in the ride, not a dramatic drop element, sort of like Rise of the Resistance drop, not Tower of Terror drop. It was just an experience that happened in there. They had to take it out, and that made the ride more reliable. And while it's unfortunate that it did have to settle, it's also the right call. It's the right call in that you need to get people. You need people to be happy with Battle at the Ministry and not make it the one reason why the line at the concierge halfway to the end of the day is really long because people are just complaining that they're not getting a lot of the rides that they were promised. So this is happening. People are happy. Everything's coming along. What happens next at Epic Universe? Sure. Yes. Okay. So we already went over it. they're going to increase capacity as far as letting guests in through the turnstiles. It's inevitable. It's going to happen once they start working all the kinks out. I know when I was in April, and again, if you watch my other video, I had a lot of problems with having to wait long for food, even days when it wasn't that busy. But it was dramatically the difference between the first day that I was there, which was April 25th, which was just about 4,000 people in the park, because that was the one day that they closed 3 hours early for a corporate event. So a lot of people did not bother to turn out for that, and they did hold capacity back for that. And then the 27th and the 28th, where there were weather delays that shut down almost all the rides one evening, and just general chaos for the most part, when the beauty of the park and the amazing attractions and experiences and character interactions were there on display in the shows, of course. So all these things are happening here. They're going to increase capacity, and once they increase capacity, you're going to see people say, hey, wait a minute, I need the Universal Express. So Universal is going to say, hey, great, now we have more people in there paying $189, a little less on the weekdays, but paying a fair amount of money to come in here and do that. But eventually they're going to get to the point where a lot of the people, especially since they had previews for so long, for more than a month of paid previews, there are not a lot of people that are going to necessarily have the ability to pay $189 for every weekend day that they want to go out visit the park. So obviously right now there are no annual passes right now. Even if you're a Universal Orlando pass holder to the other two parks, or the other three parks if you count the Volcano Bay as a third park, it is, but it's not. And if you do that, then you have the case where the value of a annual pass is great, because you can say, well, hey, I'm paying $400, $500, $800 depending on the pass you're getting, and I'm going to go there. I'm paying $3 a day. So if I go there maybe once or twice a month, I'm paying $20, $30 at most for my day at the park. And parking's usually included for some of the higher passes. So it's not a big deal if you get there and the rides are down and not or anything. It's very different if you're there as a one-time guest buying a one-day ticket. Even the regular parks, even if you're not a pass holder, if you're just visiting to Orlando to check it out, there are many promotions out there. Universal have promotions where you buy 2 days, you get 2 days free. Or if you buy a multi-day ticket, it's discounted a lot more than a one-day ticket. Right now, there isn't a multi-day discount ticket for Epic Universe. That may come in time, but I think obviously the next step is they're going to realize that there's going to come a point where it's not capacity, it's not supply demand, because the capacity is low, and they're bumping against that ceiling almost. But again, even these first couple days, they were letting people buy tickets at the park, even though they were technically sold out for a while. They were able, even on the opening day, on the May 22nd, if you showed up there in the afternoon or even late morning and just showed up at the park, get services, you can buy a ticket, get in, join the crowds, and the crowds are still manageable. Eventually, everyone's going to be sort of saying, hey, I can't be paying this, week in, week out to go check out this place. And they're going to have to obviously start offering annual passes or discounts if they want to increase capacity. Now, obviously, the other thing they can do to help increase capacity, at least not just increasing people, but increase the satisfaction while this is happening, is to build out plots of land. Now, if you go out, you probably can't see. If you go BioReconstruct on X, he has some great aerial pictures that he takes of the park. Or if not, if you're feeling like, hey, I don't want to go online, just go to Bar Helios, go to the very top. You can actually go out through the back of the park and enter the hotel. Make sure it's not during the morning, because they won't let you in early in the morning. They're checking hotel keys in the morning, but you can actually go up to Bar Helios after 4 p.m. when it opens. And make a reservation if you can. 4 o'clock, maybe you may be able to get in as a walk-in, but you definitely need a reservation later in the day. And you go to the top, and you'll see the land, and you'll see the lands that are basically flattened out, ready for expansion or whatever happens next. The only problem with expansion, and while there are of course obviously things where, are we going to get a Zelda ride in Nintendo? Are we going to get the Creature of the Black Lagoon ride? Are we going to get expansion? Obviously, in the Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry of Magic is just one ride there. They need a second attraction there, especially with the ride. When it's at a problem, when the lines are too long, you want some kind of family-friendly experience that people just go in there and get. So these are areas that have priority for expansion. And Burke already has 3 attractions, but I'm sure Dragon fans, How to Train a Dragon fans, are going to say, no, add more. We need 7 more attractions to go with the 3 that are there, 3 rides. So, and they could also increase capacity in other ways. Unlike Disney, obviously, if you want to meet Hiccup and Toothless, Toothless is this audio animatronic, amazing next-gen character, and unlike the people, he's basically since he's audio animatronic, he's robotic. As long as he's charged up, he's good to go. So he doesn't need the brakes that the regular humans do when they're wearing these costumes. the problem is that they have just one, and you can see it. So it's a long line, slow moving line one. Unlike Disney, where you have cases where you go into a building. First of all, the building is nice and air conditioned, so like Town Hall or the Communicore Hall at Epcot and Town Hall in the Magic Kingdom, where you go into a building to meet Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, and any rotating characters over at the Town Hall, Tinkerbell and others. And when you get in there, you're in a line, and the line's moving pretty quickly because they don't tell you that there's a couple of rooms there. So you're going. There's not just one Mickey. When you're taking a photo with Mickey, it's your Mickey, but it's not the only Mickey. They have several Mickeys. They could do that to increase the hiccup and the toothless interactions that way. But right now, that's about the quickest fix I can think of, because as far as rides go, it takes a long time to build out rides, and I think this is the problem with how the park is right now. There are about 5 spectacular rides that are next level, and then the other half, once you get past the first 4, 5, 6 key signature attractions, the other rides of these 11, they're almost like carnival attractions. Nothing against Curse of the Werewolf or Fire Drill or the Yoshi Story Ride, and obviously the Racer Rally, which is definitely a carnival ride, and it's such a short cycle because they have to get a lot of people through it, that it's just not even a very enjoyable experience because it's so short. All these things that are happening to increase the capacity will take time. And this is where Universal's going to have to have that big question: satisfaction of the guests versus profitability of the park. And that's where it's going to get tricky, because while capacity will increase as the summer plays out, it's going to realize, my guess is at some point in August, it's going to say, hey, you know what? Either they open up the floodgates and actually start selling annual passes, or let them include the annual passes to existing Universal Orlando pass holders. And they can charge a premium for that, a healthy premium, and they will. And people will pay up for that. They can do that, or they will have to work with discounts. They'll have to find a way to mark it down, because come August, September, October, there's not going to be 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people showing up there in the middle of a school year and saying, I want to pay $189 to visit this park, when they've had months to visit it before. And obviously people from coming out of town, to them it's that one experience. But you're seeing this now. Right now, ever since the first day that the park opened, crowds are small. Tickets are still available. You can buy them, even though they're not available online. You can buy them in person. And the parks are still empty. We're 3 days in. This is like the world's worst kept secret, that Universal Epic Universe is not a lot of guests are showing up to the grand opening, but it's not a failure on their part. It was planned initially, but now they're at the point where they're going to increase capacity, and with that, can they satisfy customer satisfaction? That was the big problem, which is why at the end of many nights during these previews, the lines to the concierge portals, which are several, thankfully, throughout the park, were quite long and quite slow moving. So you have a case where the park will evolve. Right now, it's bliss. It's bliss. If you had a ticket, you're paying a premium for this experience, but you're going to love it. Then you're going to move on later this summer, maybe as early as June. If not, definitely by July, they're probably going to start increasing the number of people they let in, thinking, oh, the rides are running somewhat efficiently. We can do this. And this is when it's going to be the worst for the company, because everything they think that it's Jason's been killed in Friday the 13th. There's no one in the lake. Nothing could stop us now. And July's going to come. It's going to be hot as blazes. There's going to be afternoon thunderstorms that shut all but 4 rides. And it's going to be another situation like it was with the technical rehearsals, where people are paying a premium and they're not. So I predict by August you're going to start seeing some discounts, possibly the annual passes, but in theory, probably the annual passes may not happen until early 2026, right after the holiday season passes, just so they could cash in on that with the one-day premium. Or they include it in the passes, but it does not include peak holiday periods. Even the premium passes, premier passes, will not have access over the peak holiday periods where they think they could sell a lot of one-day tickets, which is really the math here. It's all about math. Can they sell enough one-day tickets to fill a park profitably and build on that? And again, the thing is, they're trying to sell Universal Express passes too, so they can discount the tickets, and they probably will. Or offer 2-day to buy 2 get 2, or hey, this is a 7-day pass to all the parks, and there it go. You can choose whichever park you want. All this will happen because they need people there. They need the rides to run efficiently. Ideally, they just build out more rides. But more importantly, right now, what they need to do, if they want to make more money, is to open up more people to come in, which will resurge the price in Universal Express passes. So even though they can charge less for the park, they can make up for that in Universal Express passes that they've now had to return, or that not that they've had to, but they're choosing to return because that's the right thing to do, to be a consumer-facing thing to do, to go through that process. Ultimately, the park will be able to make more money that way. But again, I see a lot of things changing. Again, the park is so successful right now, but it cannot survive with this Discovery Cove business model where it's a premium experience for only thousands of people a day. It's going to eventually have to increase to fit. But again, that will create the dissatisfaction of more people. The weather only gets warmer. I was there in late April, and it was hot as blazes. And I can only imagine that hot weather and all those stairs. There are a lot of flights of stairs in there. I saw a TikTok video where a guy recorded 70 flights of stairs that he had to travel on a day at the park. All these things, the negatives of the park are going to be amplified by July and August when the capacity is increased and all these things, unless they lower the prices to make it easier for them to afford the Universal Express pass on top of that, which is only going to make the lines worse for the people that are just paying for the regular pass. So again, it's a vicious cycle there. But at the end of the day, I think the park is going to be great. It is great. It is great. It has so many great features. It just needs better, more indoor attractions, a lot more air-conditioned areas to escape, possibly a lot more shading. Constellation Park, the center of the park, is beautiful, but it obviously needs obviously, if you add shaded features, you're taking away from the beauty of it around you. But it is something that's going to be a factor, and you're going to see it happen this summer when there's going to be hydration problems with people through the parks. And hopefully it doesn't get to that. They're very good. They have a lot of water fountains and refill it with refillable. You can refill water bottles in there. They're really thinking ahead. They're not just out to make money. They want to make sure that they're doing right by the customer. But all these things are happening to a park that right now is doing great with thousands of customers. It's going to be a different story by the summer when it realizes that, hey, either we have too many people to make it happy, or we're not getting enough people, so we have to do something promotional to make it happen. And again, I would not be surprised if by mid-August, once schools start letting in roughly, especially in Florida, but mostly around the country later in the year, so sometime between April and September, if we start seeing the first wave of either promotions, multi-day tickets, and possibly even the annual pass. Even though, again, my bet is, by the second week of January is when you'll see the annual pass come out of 2026. The Universal Pass for that includes all 4 parks, including Volcano Bay. Maybe that is when it'll happen. Maybe they'll make you get the Volcano Bay. They'll let you get instead of a 2-day park, they'll make you do the 4-day park. I don't know. I have no inside information here, but I do know it's a great place. But right now, these great days right now, they're not going to last.